then go ahead into questions. Jim, whenever you're ready.
Yeah, thanks, Amanda. Look, again, a big thank you to the fans. I think what's going on here is special. I think that, Subaru Park has become a great place for us to play, obviously, but a great place for the fans to have, I'd say, a party every game. So we almost feel pressure in that locker room now to produce the same thing game in and game out. And kind of at a loss for words for the amount of times that these players are hitting the back of the net. So, look, overall, the players deserve 100% of the credit. They have continued to amaze me week in and week out. I think my most favorite thing about the group is that we can win games multiple ways. If you want to make it a street fight, a Nate Diaz type of 5-round, knockdown, drag-out fight, we can do that. We can beat you in transition. We can beat you by defending well. And we've actually gotten pretty good at beating teams that are sitting in a low block and finding ways to break them down that way. So overall, I think it's important to have multiple ways to win. And this group has found that, which is powerful at this stage of the season. We want to keep momentum going. We want to make it hard on LAFC. We're getting closer to that, second goal of the season, which is first place in the Eastern Conference. Not an easy thing to do. There's so many good teams, so many talented players. But again, to be on 63 points at this stage is a testament to how good these players are that Ernst Tanner's given me.
You're getting close to that defensive record too.
Yeah.
It's really in sight now. What is that going to mean? Not just to you, but to this locker room.
It's an amazing accomplishment. To not concede goals is obviously the name of the game and something that makes me proud. I think you guys know that. I think defense is still our foundation as a group. We score a lot of goals, but I still think we score those goals because of the team defending. Example tonight. First goal comes because Julian back pressures 60 yards, pokes the ball away, leads to a chance. The other one, we had Daniel Gazdag working back to track back and make a defensive play that leads to our offense. So the defensive records are something that we take very seriously. I brought them up months ago to the players, and they probably looked at me like trying to explain to them how good some old Real Salt Lake teams were that didn't concede a lot, and they kind of maybe roll their eyes and think, that's unattainable or whatever. But in a 34-game season, which is I'd call the modern, league, what they're doing right now is phenomenal. It's unprecedented. It's impressive. And again, I can't say enough about how hard this team works defensively. And while I have the microphone, and I know it's getting closer to that award season, and you talk about a guy like Daniel Gazdag, I ask everyone, I think it's obviously going to come down to him and Mukhtar, right, for the MVP of the league. Andre's probably sprinkled in there and pushing and still involved as well, but they just don't like goalkeeping. What I'd say about Daniel is the work he does defensively, which does not show up usually in MVP voting. I ask everyone who has a vote to watch just how much this guy does off the ball, the ground that he covers, the way he takes away the other team's almost 2 sixes in games. So yes, the goal contributions are record numbers for Daniel, and I love seeing him score and I love seeing him get assists. But if you talk around MVP, most valuable player, and doing all the things that the game involves on the defensive side, Daniel is as good as anyone in this league. And I think that should at least weigh into when people think about it and vote, and every vote is valuable. So I ask people to think hard. He's up there, and he should be considered, and a guy that, they're both amazing. They both had amazing seasons, Mukhtar and him, but I think that's probably who it's going to come down to. And I think I'm going to at least bring that up for my guy.
Ali, what did he do to himself?
I think Ali's okay. He jumped awkwardly, said he felt something in his groin, which is always tricky, so we were proactive and just wanted to get him out. I don't think it's a pull. He described it as it just felt weird, which makes me nervous for sure. So we'll get some scans. But overall, it was an awkward jump, great header, and a good finish. I actually thought he hurt his neck because it just hit him in a weird spot. But I think he'll be okay, and that's I pray that he'll be okay because he's so valuable and has had such an amazing season. But I can't diagnose it yet, but it involves the groin area.
Matt.
Jim, when you guys have had these kinds of outbursts at home offensively, how do you approach it in terms of talking to them? Do you tell them, hey, don't expect that every game is going to end up as a route like that, and it's still every game has ended up like a route like this recently?
Yeah.
Like, how do you kind of view it for them of not taking teams lightly?
I think you get out of the way. Again, I think there's something in some self-awareness and not being the guy that's going in there and yelling and shouting and screaming and telling them to do this better or that better. When it's going good like this, sometimes less is more, especially with your starting 11. My hardest job right now is keeping 12 through 30 happy and still going and recognizing that they're the reason that whoever starts for us is having success, because we push each other so hard in training. That's the job of a coach, and that's the job of a leader. So I'm not going to sit up here and say, well, we did this, tactical session and it's me. It's the players 100%. And sometimes the best thing is to just get out of the way. I have a great staff. They do a great job with them. But I'm not a guy that's going to micromanage them at this point. When they're going good and they're this confident, I think they know what's at stake. Again, I'll give them little conversations here and there, but I think the modern player and the modern managers, it's more about relationships than any X's and O's and overkill on all the other PowerPoint presentations and all the stuff everybody's become great at. It's more about the relationships you have with your players, and these guys give everything on the field, and that's the most important. But again, 1 through 11 is easy, and they're flying right now, so I stay out of their way. 12 through 30 are the ones that we need to keep going because they're still so valuable to this group. And we've shown our depth, and we've used our depth, and they've contributed a lot throughout the whole season.
Jim, just kind of touching back on some of those records. Kai is now 3 assists away from Dutch Cole's record. Gazdag's continuing to push the goals in a season record.
Yeah.
With all these records that you're setting, offense and defense, how do you describe these moments in a single season?
Yeah, it's strange. I think all of us, coaching staff, fans, I think sometimes we should pinch ourselves and realize what these guys are doing on the field. You know what I mean? It's good to step back sometimes and say, for a left back to be pushing Dochkal's record for assists is an incredible feat. For the work that Julian Carranza and Mikel Ure have done this year, for Daniel to be involved in the MVP voting. We haven't had that as a club, you know what I mean? So these are good things. So I think sometimes it is good to step back. This group's going to keep their head down and continue to work, but as a coach and as a staff and as fans, I think we should really recognize how good these guys are and what they're doing on the field. We could go on to win MLS Cup. We could go on to get upset by somebody. All these things can happen. This is sports. But what we're doing in the regular season in a 34-game stretch is still remarkable, and I'm really proud of the group for that. So, that's the beauty of sports, though. We have to keep going, and in your second you get comfortable, you can get brought back down to earth. But the records, like you said, are coming fast and furious. It's you hear new numbers and you hear the stats about that front three scoring more goals than most teams, and it's mind blowing. But it's my job to keep these guys humble and hungry and keep going the rest of the way, and I think they'll do that.
Jose kind of got into it with Perea a bit in the first half. Luckily, no cards were issued.
Yeah.
Any idea what happened there?
Yeah, look, I actually give credit to the referee. Like if you're gonna set the tone in a highly intense match like this where it is physical, I like that he didn't give any yellow cards for both teams. There was a lot of tackles in the first half where, I watched a game earlier today. I won't call out names, but there was, I think, 7 yellow cards in the first half, and that's not fun for fans to watch either, because then all of a sudden now everybody's tiptoeing around the field on edge. I like the physicality, but I like the consistency. He didn't really change for the whole game, so I give him a ton of credit. Were some of them right on the fringe of, pretty darn close to yellow? Sure, but I prefer a physical, hard-fought game than everything's a yellow card. So yeah, we dodged a bullet maybe with Jose. I think they were came together and got heated, but I'll stand by my players. I like how they're intense, and we don't back down. That goes back to the first comment, because Orlando came in here and to their credit was very physical in the beginning of the game, and sometimes you have to stand up for yourself, and I think our group, like I said, can win a lot of different ways, and if you want to make it a street fight, we can do that. So Jose would be probably first in line to embrace a street fight.
You mentioned earlier how you guys have got better at playing against the low blocks.
Yeah.
Last year we saw Senior come off the bench and kind of go against his low
Yeah.
blocks. What do you credit to you guys being successful with that this year too?
Yeah, I think that our combination play, so the 1 and 2 touch passing in the center part of the field, you saw tonight that it gives teams problems. I think we still missed a lot of big opportunities tonight and could have scored more goals. But so Ilsinho's got a different skill set. Ilsinho's give him the ball and everybody just watch and the crowd just stares at him and he beats 3 guys and maybe wins you the game. So we don't have that luxury. So we have to do it different ways. We have to do it through movement, through combinations, through attacking certain areas of the field, certain weaknesses of the opponent. So it's certainly different. It still can be successful. And I think the group's really improved on that 1 and 2 touch play in and around the penalty area.
I'm just curious on your thoughts on Jose Martinez's switch to Kai Wagner to the Bedoya goal, because we see a lot of sixes play backward passes with side to side.
Yeah, he played a really good forward pass. We always tell our guys to trust the first forward thing you see because it's usually the right decision. He sees that one. He knew Kai was there. I was kind of had a great view for it. He was right in front of me. He hits that blind, but he knows Kai's there. You know what I mean? So that's a level of thinking and a level of passing that's a different level. I think on the second goal, too, Leon has a moment where he could have done the safe thing and passed back to Andre, but he takes a forward touch, plays the ball to Daniel, and that starts a 3-on-2, and we get the second goal. So that being brave and playing forward, I love that, and that's what we preach for our I'd call Leon a defensive-minded player, and I'd call Jose a defensive-minded player, but those 2 forward passes lead to goals, and that's important.
Any final questions? All right. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.